Hello. So I recently figured out that I'm perimenopausal, and to say that this was a challenging discovery is an understatement. I'm 45, I'm 46 this year. And what it's brought up for me has been really all of these stories around lusciousness and aliveness and being full of vitality I'd associated with bleeding, with menstruating, and those childbearing years. And I had this overwhelming panic come through me around, like, this is it. And I actually felt my body, and I couldn't feel my body. It was like this complete dead zone, this complete shutdown, and this terror of, is this it? Am I done? Will I never feel that again? Will I never feel alive and juicy and sexy and sensual again? And I couldn't actually touch my life force. And and I was reaching out, and I'm actually the elder in my community, which is a great privilege. And also, now that I'm here at this point where I'm about to cross a bridge into a whole new phase, I feel very, very under-resourced in some ways. In other ways, I'm like, hey, I've actually been working with women and blood and bleeding and women's circles and birth and epigenetics and deep personal work, but we're talking like 25 years, so I have a lot of resources. I know that I can carry myself through this. That's actually not the question. But there was this grief of letting go, and no one around me that I felt like I could reach to say, hey, sit with me for a while. Eventually I contacted some women, powerful women from earlier on in my journey, and one of those women contacted me back, and we had a call, and it was the most beautiful thing, because I was able to spill all of my fears onto her, just not onto her, but just like out, vomit all of this stuff out, and for her to say, yep, oh yeah, that one. Things like, am I never going to feel sexually alive or on fire again? Things like, that, and I'm so angry. I was so angry. I've calmed down now. But you said, oh yeah, the red rage and the black rage, these waves of rage. And I was sitting in this rage that I haven't felt rage like this in a decade, a long time. And it was just like this consuming rage that would burn cities, whole towns, countries. And I was thinking, I'm so grateful that I have all of these years of personal development and self-development work under my belt, because I could feel it and I could be with it and I could acknowledge it, but I didn't have to allow it to take me over. Instead, I could choose, okay, this is intense. What do I do with it? I took myself, I created some ceremony for myself. I went to the ocean. I did a whole host of things. And but this rage was just, it was this wild oceanic rage that it was really quite remarkable. And there was a part of me that was just like, I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care what I burn down. I don't care what I destroy. I just want to annihilate. And it was, it was really intense thing. And I got, you know, all of these layers of, on one hand, I was like, it was this rage for humanity that we had, that I will be stepping into this landscape with no mentors, really, not embodied mentors, not women who are actually alive and activated and juicy and full of their lusciousness, living their embodied truth from this place. They're not in my, I don't see them. When I look at women who are postmenopausal or perimenopausal, and you know, particularly postmenopausal, what I look at for the most part is women that have given up, women that are somewhat dead, women that have actually let their connection to their body leave. They've dropped their sexual fire, their sensuality, they've dropped it because you can. And that was this thing that's a beautiful friend of mine, Gina Chick, or Gigi Amazonia, she's on Facebook, and she is a freaking powerhouse. In fact, her name is about to be announced. Yes, check her out. She's amazing. She's amazing. And yeah, and she was saying, yeah, you get to this point where you don't have to. You don't have to, you can choose. You can choose whether or not you want to be a sexual or a sensual creature, because you don't have this external force of these hormones. And in that understanding, I got this whole new level of sovereignty, this whole personal freedom piece that I hadn't experienced before. It was a new layer of this feeling of realizing how much that beautiful hormonal cycle that happens when we are bleeding women is actually also, yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's incredible. I'm so grateful for it. And also, it somewhat controls us. We are somewhat controlled by this. And I got this new piece around, oh, this is choice. This is a new level of choice. I can choose to drop it because I don't have hormones that are saying, I need something now, or hormones that are saying, get the hell away from me. No. I have in my hands this choice to be alive and sensual, knowing that my energy is actually, no energy is destroyed or created. It just transforms. And we can choose how to cultivate and transform and transmute our own energy. And I went for a run the other day after this was all sifting through, and I was feeling myself. It's like, oh, I can actually, and I've always been able to do this, but without the hormonal layering of a menstrual cycle, we can actually choose to bring that energy from wherever. We can bring it in from wherever and cycle it and transform it in whatever way we want. And I was starting to really feel the power of that place, of this Marga period that we don't really have. Conventional culture has nothing on. We don't end our bleeding, our mothering years and go straight into crone years or ancient years. There's this new cycle where that energy that we used to go into nurturing and nourishing and feeding others, our children, partners, whatever. It's now what we get to cultivate and cycle on our own terms. That is a really powerful, it's a really powerful place. So of course, what was I to do but go, well, you know what, I know the way that I operate, and through epigenetics, I know that I'm a diplomat. My dominant hormone is serotonin. It's one of pleasure. So for me to cultivate this sensual sexual fire really means I need to look after the way that I source that, how, because it's different for everyone. Different people are activated by different things, and we source it from different places. For me, I often need to source things from the external and bring it in, because I'm so mind dominant, very close to the sensor on the pH 360 circle. And that means that I do have a bit of vasopressin, and I have, some other hormones in there that are quite dominant, but I'm really very heady. And I've been very heady my whole life. That has been my safe zone. And so this feels like a whole new level of actual deep embodiment. So like, great, well, what am I going to do? Where will I seek that? Pole dancing. Pole dancing is the one thing that I've been looking at and kind of been attracted and repelled by at the same time. But I know that there's embodied pole dance instructors out there. And so that's what I went searching for. And I found an amazing instructor on the Gold Coast at GC Pole Fit, I think it is, Kate, who is she's a trauma-informed pole dancer. She's a nurse. She's a yoga teacher. She's an incredible woman who actually got into pole dancing because she did a research paper. She was conducting a research paper, and she was interviewing pole dancers and pole dancing as part of a feminist lifestyle. This is, 15 years ago, it must have been. So I'm like, this is my woman. Yes, went down, had my first pole dancing, super clunky pole dancing session last night. But I could feel that's like, yes, okay, I'm in this space. And this whole new level of aliveness coming through that. And in the title I've put here, this is about peri-menopause, pole dancing, and a revolutionary book. I've written in a book recently. That book is about to be launched. It's actually in pre-sale, and it's going into bookstores. It's pre-sale in bookstores in the States, in Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, and even Costco, and a whole bunch of others. In Australia, it's available in Booktopia. I'm going to put some links down here. But in that book, it's called Women Gone Wild, the Wealth Edition. And I write about ancestral wealth. And I talk about how we can alchemize and we can actually draw on the gifts of our ancestors, rather than focusing on the ancestral trauma that so many people are focusing on. We actually get to choose how we work with what is in our DNA. And there is a lot of wisdom and a lot of value in our DNA. A lot has come through this epigenetic and genetic lineage. And if we know how to work with it, it's an incredibly powerful piece. And this is what I write about, how to alchemize that. So my chapter is ancestral wealth. And I speak in there about my maternal grandmother, who died when she was 36, when my mother was only 16. So I never met her, but I was born on the day that she would have turned 48. So I feel this great infinity with this woman who I never met. And when I track back and I feel into the stories that she wove together through her life, and the story of my mother, and the story of all of these, and I'm getting chills when I'm speaking about this, and the story of all of these women who couldn't do what I can do, who got to this phase in life and they were dead. They were dried up. They had lost their usefulness beyond creating babies, losing their beauty. What value do they have? And we still have a level of this. And I definitely carry that. I'm looking at myself going, I'm going to lose my estrogen. My body is going to change. my skin is going to shift. And it is a huge fear. It's a terror there of losing beauty, because it equates to losing a level of value. And so this book is on pre-sale, and we're going to do a book launch in May. And as I'm sitting with all of this and I'm feeling myself transition, and I'm aiming to go to LA for the book launch at the Barnes and Noble in the Grove is the plan at the moment. It's massive. That is massive. If anyone's ever tried to get a book published, it's massive to be able to get it to that point and to be received by a company like Barnes and Noble. And I get to go there with the mitochondria, the powerhouse that remains unchanged. This is, we call this the red thread, my maternal lineage that can be traced back to the dawn of humanity, unchanged, because most of our mitochondria, most of the powerhouses in our cell is passed down through our mother line. And when we look at our mitochondria, we can actually track our maternal lineage back to one of the first 7 Eves. And I am a woman with no sisters and no daughters. I am the last of this line. It stops with me. And there's grief around that. And there's pride. Like, wow, I'm the sum total of my maternal lineage. There's a bit of pressure there. It's like, God, I hope I'm good enough. God, I hope I'm worth it. That the last of it is worth it. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a damn good shot to be worthy to be the last. And so, yeah, pole dancing and entering this phase, this Marga phase, with surrender and an open heart and a willingness to lean into the void of this oceanic depths of mystery that I have no idea what lies before me, what will unfold through my body and in my mind. And I don't know. But I know that this is a stage of life that holds incredible power and potential. And I guess I'm speaking here today for a bunch of reasons. One is to let you know about this incredible book that's happening, to let you know that there's, things like pole dance is not necessarily belonging to the realms of disempowered women, but that actually when we claim it as part of our own self-expression, we can turn it into this incredibly sacred embodiment practice where we get to cultivate our own energy and utilize that energy to create magic in the world. And also to shine a light and to speak the words menopause, to speak that and say, yeah, when that landed, it was not pretty. And as I sit with it more and more, I just feel to claim it more and more. And I know there will be 1,000 layers of death and grieving. And I hope to take you on this journey too with me, so that we can start speaking about this process and this journey as a stage of becoming, rather than a stage of dying. And I feel in that my ancestral lineage, and that just by saying these words on public record, available to whoever wants to watch it, just by being able to get up and say this, I'm already making them proud because I can do what they only ever dreamed of. And that is such a privilege. And I would love to leave you with a poem that I wrote a while ago, but feels so much more fitting now. It doesn't have a title, but it goes like this. The weight of her mother's stories slipped from her hips as she finally gave them a voice through her very own lips. From mother to daughter, they had passed down the line. But this woman was free to craft a life of her own. And so with love and with courage, she laid them to rest, saying, in honor of you, I'll fly where you only dreamt.